Good evening. My name is Helen Schary Motro. My vocations have included attorney, university lecturer, journalist, and writer, not necessarily in that order. I am from the United States, and I have come here many years ago hoping to participate in the Israeli dream. I am going to read the beginning of a short story, the first few pages of the short story I've written. It's called Homecoming on Riverside. As soon as Henny spied her dead grandparents climbing out of the taxi, she raced across the side street and down the block towards her building. The yellow cab had just pulled up in front of her building's canopy. With her sharp child's eyes, she recognized them at once, from 2 blocks away and through the heavy snow. The doorman rushed over to the curb. He popped open an oversized black umbrella high over the gray heads of her grandparents, protecting them from the wet snowflakes. The doorman's gestures lost their flourish when he saw the couple's old-fashioned appearance. Grandpa's double-breasted suit, Grandma's chignon. There was Grandpa, bent slightly at the waist, standing aside to let Grandma go in first. Henny ran into the wind, her breath stabbed between her ribs as she raced down the deserted pavement. Through the corner of her eyes she read, don't walk, flashing blood red. The hard plastic handle of her book bag banged against her knees. Icy pinpricks hit her hot cheeks, melted, and ran down beneath her collar. Her grandparents would be bewildered by the lobby's twisting corridors and multiple elevators, the front elevator, the rear elevator, the service car. She could almost hear them shrugging, struggling to ask, did they have the right address? Did their son Ignaz Kanovitz live there? They wouldn't know to use the new name. They would know that their son Ignaz had become Eugene, and that Kanovitch was reborn as Cain. If she didn't get there right now to steer them, the doorman would turn them away, out into the snow, and this time he wouldn't shield them with the umbrella. Henny wondered if they had a place to stay in New York, if they knew anybody. They would have come all this way for nothing, all the way across the years. They wouldn't know how close they had come to seeing their son again, and his wife, whom they remembered so young, and to meeting her, Henny, their only grandchild. She had to make it. This time she would catch them for sure. 83rd Street, 82nd Street. She ran, panting. She was almost there. I'll take you upstairs, she'd shout. I know who you want. For once, there would be no empty chairs in the living room. She hoped they would understand her, that they could speak English, at least a little. There would be time later for them to learn more. Henny would be there to help. Henny raced past the building next door, pushing her way between a couple, walking from the doorway towards the open door of a taxi on the road. She felt their disapproved stares at her rudeness as she brushed past. She saw Grandma go into her building and then Grandpa's thin frame disappear after her into the open doorway. The doorman in his maroon woolen uniform tipped the visor of his cap towards Henny, and he smiled his gold-toothed smile as she dashed in, breathless, from the darkened street, intent on catching up. But it was the same story again today. The elevator doors snapped shut just as she arrived to slip in and join them. She hit the buzzer over and over, but it was too late. The elevator whirred. The chains creaked as the car ascended. What's using such a rush for, little missy? That hungry for your dinner, are yous? The doorman asked her in the hearty voice he turned on for the tenants and their children. Henny shook her head in bewilderment and shuffled from foot to foot. She was still breathing hard from the run, and her knee was hurting where her book bag had hit her. The lobby was empty except for the doorman giving a puzzled look. He turned around and stood impassively facing the glass entrance doors, looking out into the boulevard, his thick back turned towards her. Henny's shoulders sagged. She had lost them again. She knew why. She hadn't played by their rules. she hadn't resisted the urge to chase after them. Henny learned to recognize her grandparents from the blurry photographs stashed in the back of her parents' dresser drawer. The photographs she had come across wrapped in wrinkled white tissue paper, held together with crisscrossed rubber bands. She had studied them for so long that she would know them anywhere. And it wasn't only Grandpa and Grandma, it was the other set too, her mother's parents, the ones she called Papa and Nana. Grandpa, Grandma, Papa, Nana. She had given them those names. In Henny's house, grandparents were never mentioned. The door slid open, and the elevator carried Henny upstairs.